KGAB.
6:46 the time, 24 degrees. Don Day on the phone, dayweather.com. Don, before we get to Wyoming, I've been watching Nebraska with concern. They got some problems over there. How long is this going to continue with all the flooding, do you know?
Well, the flooding in the upper Midwest, Nebraska, Iowa, Missouri, Illinois, Wisconsin, Minnesota, all of those areas, we're going to be talking about flooding probably all through May and early June. And the reason for that is they had a very snowy winter. They built up a lot of snowpack. And then these below average cold winter temperatures have created a strong, very deep layer of permafrost. And what transpired over the last week with this big storm that got us is that they were on the warm side of the storm. So they started to get a lot of melting, and rivers and streams are already getting swollen. But there was also a lot of ice in those rivers still, and we had ice damming. Also, that permafrost layer did not allow the melting snow to go very deep, and then they got rain on top of that, heavy rain. So we had snow melt that was going into the rivers which still had ice. We had ice dams form. Water could not go deep into the ground because of that permafrost, and they got rain on top of it. It was one thing after another, and so it's a bad situation. I'm afraid that there's a lot of snow to melt still. The Red River Valley, those drainages all up in the upper Midwest are going to be flooded all spring.
Okay. I just keep watching as bridges get washed away, whole ranches are underwater. I was watching a YouTube video from one rancher who is standing there going, well, my ranch was here. The barn was over there. It's just all gone. So I hate to see that they're going to go through it for that long, but that brings my next concern up. It's nice to see everything kind of melting away. During the course of the weekend, for a while, their Pershing Boulevard was 2 lanes, and they're moving the snow, and it's melting away. But I worry about long term for us. Are we going to have a problem here, not just Cheyenne, but some surrounding areas as this starts to melt off, especially from the higher elevations?
Well, I think as we get into later May and June, it looks like the North Platte River is going to be elevated. There could be some concerns for flooding. So you're talking Saratoga to Casper, those areas along the North Platte. Also downstream of the Torrington and Scotts Bluff. The Little Snake River around Baggs, that's a snowpack that's way above average. So, yes, to answer your question, there could be concerns. What you always got to watch for in our part of the world is the melt off, how warm it gets when that big melt occurs, and if we get rain on top of that melt.
Okay.
We have a bit of a permafrost situation here as well. It got warm over the weekend, but not really warm. We're still looking at below average temperatures, and you're going to get a lot of puddles because we are still looking at some of the ground frozen around here as well. And so it's going to be a muddy mess in a lot of areas here in the coming days. All
right, so now as I'm easing toward our week's forecast, but let's still look out for just a little, because you had talked about possibility of some other snowstorms coming our way. And now you said it wasn't going to be as bad as what we just went through, but are you still looking at that? That's still a possibility?
Yeah, I certainly think we're going to get more moisture before this month is over, and certainly April is a month that we're looking at as the possibility of a couple of strong storms. That is certainly still on the table. We've got a system, though, coming at the end of the week that's very weak, disorganized, but moist. And so we're going to see a little bit of rain and snow shower activity move in later, Thursday night, Friday, over the weekend. Doesn't look like anything we just went through. That's going to be followed up by another one towards late next week. So you expect the weather to get more stormy and active this time of year, and it is. But do we have a big, strong storm in the next week like the last one? No, we don't, at least for now.
Okay, and the temperatures for this week, I was just looking ahead there, don't look too bad.
Not too bad, but they're not real warm either. Tomorrow we're probably not going to get out of the 30s.
Okay.
And we're still going to be 10 degrees short of normal tomorrow. So cool, when we use the word seasonal, that means temperatures close to average. When I say seasonally cool, that means, you know what? The sun will be out, but it's still not going to be all that warm. During this time of year, we could be 60s and 70s easy as we get to the second half of March and April, but we don't see that. We're going to be more around the 40s and lower 50s.
Okay, still feels better than the negative temperatures we had. So
absolutely.
This weekend was great.
Yeah, that blue sky just did wonders to melt a lot of that snow, as you said.
All right, Don, thanks for coming on. DonDay, dayweather.com.